Hi, this is Jim Lange. I'd like to talk about what I think is the most important concept regarding Social Security and what are the best Social Security strategies. The vast majority of Social Security recipients actually botch this, and they take it at the wrong time. They don't utilize the strategies that are available to them, and it often costs them literally hundreds of thousands of dollars, and most people don't even know that they made a mistake. So what I'm going to tell you now, it's the real thing. It's been peer-reviewed by some of the top journals. It's been in Trusts and Estates. I've published this, and I have talked about this concept very frequently, and this is confirmed on my radio show. I think I've had about 5 or 6, probably more, Social Security experts, and they all agree with the conclusion that I am going to come to. But here's the deal with Social Security. So let's keep it simple. We're going to get into marital strategies at a later video, but this works just as well and probably better for married couples than for single individual participants. But it's also, this concept is critically important for single folks also, and that's actually how I'm going to start, but it will have, again, great relevance for married folks. All right, so let's say, for discussion's sake, you're 62 years old, you've been working for, let's say, the requisite number of years, and you are retired at this point, and you do qualify to receive Social Security benefits. And the question is, should you start collecting Social Security at 62? Or should you wait until you're 66? Or should you wait until you're 70? Or the other possibility is you're retiring at 66, and the issue is, should you take it at 66 or wait until you are 70? And what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk about 2 things. I'd like to talk about the math behind that decision. Then I'd also like to talk about a concept that very few people take into account, which in many ways is even more important than the math. But let's start with the math. And I always like to compare apples with apples. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, let's assume that you are collecting Social Security at age 62. And I'm also assuming here that you have enough money that you can live comfortably without your Social Security. That is, you're going into your portfolio to supplement, or to actually not supplement, to actually support yourself. So I have to assume at age 62 that you do have money outside of Social Security that you're using to support yourself. And by the way, a real quick anecdote, if you will, I have had people come in and say, gee, Jim, I'd love to wait until I'm 66 or 70, but I'm dead broke and I need to start collecting Social Security now. To those people, I say, if you don't have enough money to support yourself till 66 or 70 without Social Security, then I hate to tell you, but you don't have enough money to retire, and you better keep working. But hopefully that isn't your situation. Hopefully the choice is whether you want to start collecting or whether you want to hold off. But if you hold off, you can at least support yourself in the meantime. So to compare apples to apples, that is, taking it at 62 or 66 and 70, what I'm going to do is going to say, okay, if you take it at 62 and you're spending money from your portfolio, or you could at least afford to, would it make more sense to take it at 62 and then invest that money? Now, I'm going to be very generous, which actually goes against my point, and I'm going to assume that you could get a 4% rate of return, which for guaranteed money, and that's what we're talking about, this isn't a stock market investment, for a guaranteed rate of return, I think probably 2% would be even more accurate, but I'm being generous. That is, I'm even using assumptions that will not prove my point. But let's assume that you take this money at age 62 and you invest it at 4%. And then, after you start collecting at 62, you get your monthly check and you invest that money. Then the next month, Monthly check comes, you invest that money, etc., etc., etc. And again, starting at age 62. And I'm not going to get into all the assumptions on this video. We actually have that in a book that I will refer to. But here in the red line is roughly what you can anticipate what that account in that balance, the balance of that account will be. All right, now, so that's, let's call it status quo, because that's what a lot of people do at age 62, is that they start taking their Social Security. All right, now, example number 2. Let's assume that same person with that identical earnings record for the purposes of collecting Social Security says, wait, I am willing to wait until I'm 70. Now, the exact math on it is from age 66 to 70, for every year that you wait, you get an 8% increase in how much money you will collect. And then there's a slightly different formula on the increase between age 62 and 66. If you wanted to oversimplify, even though it's not technically correct, you could just say, well, roughly an 8% raise in benefits. But if you're waiting till 70, you have nothing until you're 70, compared to, let's say, your friend who has the identical earnings record. He's actually here. He's close to, he's over $200,000 while you have nothing, okay? But remember, you're going to get a much higher benefit. So you're, now again, to compare apples to apples, I'm going to assume that you are saving that money. And again, just at 4%. Here is your trajectory in the green line. And you can see it goes up to here. So it's going to take you a while to catch up to the person who has your identical earnings record at age 62, because for 8 years you collected nothing and they were collecting Social Security. But then you're catching up rapidly because you're getting so much more per month. So there is the inevitable, let's call it break even, which in this case, using the assumptions that I am using, which again can be found in the book, would be age 82. So some people say, hey Jim, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it till age 82 or not. You know, I have a little cholesterol, I have a little diabetes. Not that I have anything that is, you know, immediately life-threatening, but I'm not sure I'm going to make it till age 82 or not. So therefore, I would rather just not take that chance, and I will start collecting at 62. Well, what happens if you do make it to exactly age 82, and I'm not even factoring in the spouse yet. You make it till age 82, you break even, but what happens if you live longer? Well, you're doing a lot better than, let's call it Mr. Red. Mr. Green is over $200,000 better off than Mr. Red, that is, Mr. holding up on Social Security. He's over $200,000 better off than the person taking their Social Security earlier. If I used a higher interest rate, a lower interest rate, which in a way is a good argument, then the break-even point would be even earlier. Now, you still might be saying, well, gee, Jim, you know, something had happened to me. I'm worried that I might not get everything that I am entitled to. And I actually had this exact conversation with a guy named Larry Kotlikoff on my radio show. And I've had similar conversations with other Social Security experts, Jane Bryan Quinn, Elaine Floyd, a whole bunch of other ones. And here's what Larry told me when I was kind of going through this kind of analysis. And he did it live, right on the air. And he didn't even call me Jim, he called me Lange. Lange, you have it all wrong. I'm like, what? I have it all wrong? What's wrong with my analysis? Okay, I used 4%, maybe I should have used 3% or 2%, he said, no, that part is fine. The part that's wrong is the way you're thinking about it. Now, this is really important. You're thinking about it, Larry said, like an actuary. And I said, well, how should I be thinking about it, Larry? He said, think like an economist. Think about the big picture. What happens if you take it early, you get some more money, And then you do die before age 82. If you die before age 82, you're dead. And Larry's point is, dead people don't have financial problems. So by taking it early, what you're doing is you're not necessarily protecting yourself, but you're protecting your estate. But again, dead people don't have financial issues. The right fear for financial purposes is not dying early, but living a long time. So let's say that you don't die early at age 82 or before. Let's say that you die at 85 or 90 or 95 or even beyond. Then it's really critical that you get that higher income, not just till age 82, but actually for the rest of your life. So it really ends up being like the greatest bargain on longevity insurance there is. Now, let me tell you why it's even a better bargain than you might be thinking. If we get into the issue of survivor benefits for married couples, and this is the way that's going to work. Let's say that your benefit is $2,000, your spouse's benefit is $1,200, and either one of you die, and for my purposes it doesn't matter. The survivor is going to get the higher of the two benefits. So all we need is one of you to live beyond age 82. So what you're really doing is you're not only protecting yourself, but you're also protecting your spouse. So it's really critical that the spouse with the higher earnings record waits until 70, unless there's pretty overwhelming evidence that both you and your spouse are going to die before, and probably well before, age 82. I don't think that that is a good bet in most cases. I think it is a better bet to count on you living and protecting your years while you're alive, rather than assuming that you're going to die early and leave a few more dollars behind because you actually, I don't look at waiting longer as taking a chance. I say taking it early is really riskier because it risks you running out of money or not having sufficient income while you are alive. Then if you add in the let's say a factor that I'm not going to really talk about in this video, which is Roth IRA conversions, then the difference between doing the Roth conversions right and Social Security right, and let's say taking it early and not making Roth conversions, I mean, this is more than $1.5 million. So it's really critical to get this right. Now, I have included some Roth analysis, some Roth IRA conversion analysis, and the complete Social Security analysis, including not only just what I talked about, but also some of the other marital strategies that are very appropriate. I am trying to make this information available for free or for cheap on my website. And if you go to www.paytaxeslater.com, you will see an offer for this book. In some variations, I ask you to pay for postage, depending on at what point you see this video. But it is critical information. Again, I'm going to make it available for free or cheap. And I urge you to take this information to heart, get the book, go through it, and more importantly, act on what you learn. Thank you.